when I'm dreaming, I realize I'm inside a dream. It happened again that night. I found myself alone on a dark, desolate train station platform. I remember thinking, what a gloomy dream this is. Suddenly, an announcement echoed through the station, and the words made no sense.
The train will be arriving shortly. If you board this train, something terrible will happen to you.
Soon, a vehicle pulled into the station. It wasn't exactly a train. It looked more like those small monkey trains you see at amusement parks or zoos. Sitting in a row were several pale men and women, staring blankly ahead. I knew the dream was strange, but I was curious. I wanted to see just how much my own mind could scare me, so I decided to get on. I figured that if it got truly unbearable, I'd just force myself to wake up. That's the thing about lucid dreaming. I can leave whenever I want. I took the third seat from the back. The air around me felt damp and lukewarm. It was so vivid, so visceral, that for a second I actually doubted if I was dreaming at all. The announcement crackled.
Departing now.
And the train lurched forward. My heart was pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. As soon as we left the platform, we entered a tunnel. The walls were bathed in an eerie, sickly purple light. I tried to reassure myself. This looks exactly like the Haunted Mansion ride I went on as a kid, and it's a monkey train. My brain is just recycling old memories. There's nothing to be afraid of. Right then, the voice spoke again.
Next up, ikitizukuri. Ikitizukuri.
Ikitizukuri is a Japanese culinary technique where seafood, usually fish or shrimp, is prepared and served while still alive. The chef slices the meat quickly so the heart is still beating and the gills are still moving when it reaches the table. In the context of this story, it represents a slow, agonizing process of being filleted alive. Ikitizukuri, I thought. Like the fish? The ones they fillet while they're still alive? The thought hadn't even finished forming when a piercing, blood-curdling scream erupted from behind me. I spun around. 4 small figures, dwarves dressed in filthy rags, were swarming the man in the very last seat. They had knives. They were hacking at him, slicing pieces of flesh away while he was still breathing. They were literally turning him into live sashimi, the air filled with a heavy, metallic stench. The man screamed so loud my ears started to ring. One by one, they pulled out his internal organs. Bloated, bloody parts were tossed in every direction. Directly behind me sat a pale woman with long hair. Despite the carnage happening inches behind her, she just stared straight ahead, as if she couldn't see or hear a thing. I was paralyzed. This was beyond anything I could have imagined. I started to panic. Was this really just a dream? I decided I'd watch just a little longer, then I'd wake myself up. When I looked back again, the man in the last seat was gone. All that remained was a red and black smear of gore. The woman behind me was still motionless, staring into the void. The announcement came again.
Next stop, eye gouging. Eye gouging.
Instantly, 2 dwarves appeared. They held tools that looked like jagged, rusty spoons. They began to dig into the woman's eyes. Her face, previously expressionless, contorted in inhuman agony. She screamed directly into the back of my head. A sound so sharp I thought my eardrums would burst. Her eyeballs popped out of their sockets. The smell of blood and sweat became suffocating. Shaking with terror, I curled into a ball and stared straight ahead. I was done. I'd seen enough. If the pattern held, I was next. I was third from the back. I was ready to wake up, but a morbid curiosity took hold. I wanted to hear what my stop would be called. I'd wait for the announcement, then I'd bolt. The voice crackled.
Next stop, mincemeat. Mincemeat.
The worst possible one. I didn't need to imagine what that meant. I closed my eyes and focused every ounce of my will on one thought. Wake up. Wake up, wake up. Suddenly, I heard it. A mechanical whirring. Whirr! One of the dwarves jumped onto my lap, holding a strange, spinning contraption. I knew what it was. The tool that was going to turn me into mincemeat. I squeezed my eyes shut and prayed with everything I had. Wake up, wake up, wake up! The whirring got louder. I felt a rush of air against my face. I thought, this is it. I'm dead. Then, silence. I had escaped. I burst awake, soaked in sweat, tears streaming down my face. I stumbled to the kitchen and downed glass after glass of water before I finally started to calm down. It was just a dream, I whispered to myself. Just a terrifyingly real dream. The next day at school, I told my friends. They laughed. It was just a nightmare after all. 4 years passed. I was a university student, busy with work and classes. I had completely forgotten about that night. Until one night, it started again.
Next stop, eye gouging. Eye gouging.
It picked up exactly where it left off. I realized instantly. Oh no, it's the same dream. Everything was identical. The 2 dwarves were ripping the eyes out of that same woman. This is bad, I thought. I didn't wait. I started chanting, wake up, wake up, wake up, but this time I couldn't get out.
Next stop, mincemeat. Mincemeat.
The situation was critical. That mechanical whirring sound was getting closer. Wake up, please let me wake up. Suddenly, everything went quiet. I thought I had made it. I was about to open my eyes when I heard that same lifeless robotic voice, clear as a bell, running away again? The next time you come here, that will be the end. When I opened my eyes, I was back in my room. The dream was over. But that last announcement, I didn't hear it in the dream. I heard it in reality. In my room. I haven't had the dream since that night, but I'm waiting. I'm prepared for the fact that the next time I fall into that station, I'll probably die of a heart attack in my sleep. In this world, they'll call it a heart attack. But over there, I'll be mincemeat. Sometimes I get the urge to look up creepypastas you should never search for online. Usually I read a few, get bored, and stop. But the other day I found a collection that included a story called Saru Yume, Monkey Dream. I didn't recognize the name at first. But as I started reading, the memories hit me like a physical blow. I remembered everything. I'd had that dream as far back as elementary school. I'd forgotten it entirely until that moment, which is strange because the memory is so vivid now. In my version of the Saru Yume legend, I was in that little cart, and the announcement said, next stop, slicing into rings. I could hear someone screaming ahead of me. It creeped me out how fast the memory came back, so I had to write this down. And I haven't seen that monkey mountain since, so I think I'm safe. However, when I woke up in terror back then, I noticed something. On the wall next to my bed, there were a few tiny splatters of blood. Just a little. You could have mistaken it for dirt. As a kid, that was the part that truly terrified me.